So Kirio's kind of an interesting character for me to cover because unlike the other two members of Squad Zero that I've already covered, Ichibei and Oetsu, she doesn't have very direct feats like they do. And what I mean is that Ichibei has his fight with Yuha, and being stated twice to basically be the Shinigami king that stands atop all the other Shinigami. And Oetsu's like the Zanpakuto god, who takes down the entire royal guard by himself, but Kirio doesn't have anything like that. Her feats are very vague and weird. And while she is a pretty powerful person in her own right, and I definitely think she deserves to be a part of Squad Zero, it's something that I think a lot of people are going to miss when they read the Bleach series. Thankfully, we have things like 13 Blades to extrapolate on her character and her abilities, so we can use that to kind of help us discern how strong Kirio is. But if this is a video that you're looking forward to, or this is something that you want to support, leave a like and subscribe, as it does help the channel out a lot. And if you want to get some special perks in like the Discord and on the YouTube channel and want to go that extra mile in helping me out, you can click that join button and become a channel member. But with that being said, let's just go ahead and dive right into this video. So when it comes to power, there's one objective thing that we do have. We do have Kirio slapping Korinji around, and in 13 Blades, it actually is confirmed from a quote from Korinji himself that getting hit by Kirio does really hurt. So if you want to use it to say that, okay, Kirio does scale relatively to Korinji, that is fine. That is kind of what's being implied by her hitting him and him saying that it hurts, right? That is like the implication being made. But if you actually go deeper into 13 Blades, they blatantly say that her actual power is unknown. Like, they don't even know how actually powerful Kirio is, which does make sense. I wouldn't expect her to be doing a whole lot of fighting. She's not like Ichibei, who is the king of all the Shinigami and would be expected to be able to fight, and she's not the god of all the Zanpakuto, which you would expect the person that creates all of the Zanpakuto to actually be a decent fighter himself. And then Korinji, who will get a video to himself, but Korinji is a person that is very eager to get into a fight and likes to test his strength against everybody. So he's another character that's like, okay, I understand that Korinji likes to get into a fight and we can kind of understand his power, but Kirio and Shutara are the two members of Squad Zero that you really wouldn't expect to do a whole lot of fighting, Kirio being the person that pretty much just makes food for everybody, and Shutara being the lady that, makes everybody's clothes. Now, you could try to like further build off of this and say that, well, when she made the Tree of Life, it was capable of like dodging, or not dodging, but growing to dodge and catch Lele's little like bullets, and it was able to stop him from like piercing the Tree of Life. And even though that is base Lele, it's still actually quite good for Kirio, since again the Royal Guard were all stronger than any of the other Quincy that Yuha had available to him at the time. But as you can see, her power is very, very odd. Like, it's very hard for us to pin this down. I would again say the most definite thing you can say is like she scales somewhat to Korinji, which is not bad, because as I'll talk about it when I get to Korinji's video, you should at bare minimum be a good deal stronger than full-bring Bankai Ichigo, at the bare minimum. I'll leave that there for now, and we'll talk about that more in his video, but that should be quite decent for Kirio. But there's other things you can argue for her strength. But again, at the end of the day, the narrative is that they want to keep Kirio's power kind of hidden and unsure. And so I wouldn't expect in the future for Kirio to go around like smacking people around and doing like direct fighting with anybody. However, Kirio's abilities are what I think are her strong suits. And speaking of that Tree of Life, it is a cage that she's able to make around her opponents that basically consumes their Ryatsu whenever their attacks come into contact with the Tree of Life, and it then consumes that attack and uses everything that it consumes to then strengthen the cave to just kind of keep them trapped in there. And I know that there's like gaps in there, so you're like, well, why don't you just walk through the gaps in the cage and then escape? It's like, well, the branches grow outwards and they interlock and everything to prevent you from doing that, which really does make this a very powerful ability in team battles. I don't really see the use in a one-on-one battle, because if Kirio can't kill somebody herself, throwing them in a cage is not going to do her much better, because then really you're just going to end in like kind of a draw. But again, it is very, very helpful in team battles because you can lock down like a specific person, which I don't really know why they didn't do that. Instead of making just one really big cage to trap the entirety of the Royal Guard, why did you not just make individual cages and then fight them all one at a time, right? But I suppose it was to make Nehemiah look really cool, because it's like, oh, we trapped them all in here, and then Nehemiah walks in there and kills all of them. So I guess that's why they did that. Then there's obviously Kirio's ability to make like super dense, high, good, spiritual pressure rich food, which restores your power, your energy, all that good stuff, and you can basically eat like an infinite amount of her food. As Renji and Ichigo just say that even though they've already consumed a large amount of food, they're not even like quote unquote full, like they can still keep eating, which I would just suppose means that you're not really filling your physical body, you're more like replenishing your spiritual power, right? So you can kind of keep eating until your spiritual powers are full, which is kind of good for Kirio herself, but since she makes the food from her own spiritual pressure, I don't think she could like mid-battle make a steamed bun and then eat it to replenish her spiritual pressure, right? It'd be like cutting 10% of your health bar to restore 10% of your own health bar. Like, it doesn't seem like something that would actually work, but in a team battle, it would be, again, very, very powerful. However, here is the best thing that Kirio brings to Bleach. I think nobody really brings this up anymore. I don't know why, because it's very, very impressive, but Kirio created the concept of the artificial soul. And I know sometimes there's like artificial, like flowery language where it's like, oh, they said they created the concept, but it's like, do you really know what it means to create the concept of something or to do something conceptually? But Kirio also blatantly says, she's like, the concept did not exist until I created it. Like, this is some like god tier feats right here. It's like, fire did not exist until I created the concept of fire. The same thing applies to Kirio, right? Kirio said, this concept did not exist until I created it, meaning Kirio can mess with conceptual tier things and would allow you to argue that the things that she makes are conceptual in nature. From this, you could actually argue that things like Cone are conceptual beings because they're artificial souls, or because she's able to mess with things on a conceptual tier. Perhaps the food she makes is also somewhat conceptual. And I'm just saying, Ichigo and Renji eat it, so there's a lot of very powerful arguments you could make from Kirio being able to create said concepts, right? It's also rather impressive because Kirio, again, is not even regarded as necessarily the strongest member of Squad Zero. I would say she's maybe like number 3 or number 4. Yet she figured out a way to just create concepts out of nothing. Like, she just can make concepts. And actually that might fit in line with characters like Ichibei or characters like Nehemiah, where they're literally creating something that did not exist and then creating the concept of it. Which actually leads me to believe that perhaps one day we'll get a statement for like Zanpakutos being these concepts that Nehemiah creates, or that all names are concepts created by Ichibei, right? Which would borderline turn the Bleach verse into like the Fate verse where everything is conceptual, but that's very, very good for cross-verse debating. So we'll see how that goes, but just keep that in mind, that Kirio creates the concept of the artificial soul, and it opens up a lot of different arguments for the entirety of the Bleach verse. But with that being said, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below on Kirio. Do you like Kirio? Well, obviously everybody likes Kirio because obvious thick mommy reasons, right? But aside from that, do you like Kirio? Were you convinced that she's a bit stronger than she was? Do you still think, she's not all that great? Because really, she is just a support character, right? Like, she's a very, very strong support character. So I can see why you're not as impressed with her as compared to somebody like Ichibei or Uetsu or even Korinji. But make sure you leave a like and subscribe, as it does help the channel out and does show me that you guys like this kind of content. And if you want to go that extra mile in supporting me, you can click that join button and become a channel member, which gives you access to hidden videos on the channel, like my past live streams and my debates that I upload. You also get emotes when I live stream, or you get emotes that you can use in the comments section. You get a little tag associated with your name, as well as access to hidden channels in the Discord. Just be sure that if you do become a channel member, you actually like tell me in the Discord, because otherwise I won't know. Because usually you guys have like different names on like your Discord account and your YouTube account, so if you don't tell me, I'm not gonna know. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here not tomorrow, but on Wednesday, I'm gonna be doing a video on Korinji. I hope you guys are looking forward to that. And with all that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. You guys have yourselves a nice day. Peace, late guys.